Welcome back to another edition of Social Club. Hopefully you enjoyed Arsenal Club and Ball Street South representing yesterday. But today we're gonna, we're trying to be in a good mood here, but we're going to talk about West Ham with Nicky from West Ham Fan TV. Quick shout out to the post-match pint show, which I watched. It was lovely. I watched it on Sunday. Probably not for you, but if you want good man chat, post-match pint is the perfect mix between I'm fuming at my team, but I'm going to find some humour in it. It is quality. So if you haven't checked that out, go and do it.
Great format.
Rory's with us as well from CFC Fan TV, and Flav, who's got love.
I want to give you this. That's
True Love.
True Love. And then this.
Say yes.
Say yes.
Is that a proposal?
Yeah.
We've spoken about that.
Yep.
Mate, he's a taken man now. She liked it.
You had your chance. Let's
What do you say, Sailor?
I'm supposed to talk now, aren't I? I've got two hearts in my mouth.
Yeah.
It's all right, multitask, you got this.
Okay.
Well, it's important that you do talk, like all men.
Yeah.
Because
we are in association with Calm. Sorry, hang on.
Campaign Against Living Miserably.
Yeah. So it's a new little partnership that we've got. This is difficult. Can you do it?
Yeah. So but the Ball Street have partnered up with a charity called Calm. It's called Campaign for Living Miserably.
Campaign Against Living Miserably, not for living.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in favour of that. No, it'd be a very bad thing to be in favour of.
Suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 45, more than drugs, more than cancer, more than road traffic accidents combined. And it's really important that men talk about their problems, because often it's, you often hear this stuff like man up, get over it, don't be such a pussy or something like that. True.
You hear it? You kind of got the point when you said man up though. I didn't realise you were going to list all of you.
I'm just, some of the things that are aimed at me regularly. Stop being a pussy. And sometimes it's not easy to be a stereotypical man, so talking about your problems is really good. And Calm have a helpline and a live chat on their website and other bits and pieces. You can find out all that information at thecalmzone.net.
Yeah, I think the main thing we're saying is it's avoidable, and we know that our audience it's a lot of guys, 97%. It's high, isn't it? So it's there for you if you need it, and of course Social Club is here every single week.
I have a good cry at least once a week.
Yeah. Good.
Usually when I'm masturbating, but I don't know.
Mate, we were on a high there.
Sorry.
The tone was set. All right, we've done something nice.
Sorry.
Bang.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think I'll be sending them this clip. No, we've done it. We're getting your charity out there.
Calm have been a sponsor on the Fighting Cock for a long time, and they understand the podcast.
And Ball Street's proud to have it now as well. So let's talk about West Ham. And so I think we should break this down, because I messaged you on Saturday, and your response was that it's not, you're watching West Ham really, really struggle right now, and it's not the club that you were used to, or that you want it to be. Let's start with the performances on the pitch. 8 points in the league so far.
Yep.
3-0 defeat at home to Brighton. Lost 3-0 to Newcastle, another promoted side, earlier in the season as well. What's going wrong on the pitch, first and foremost?
I'll be honest, mate. I don't think they're trying with the manager. I think the players have just give up the ghost. I don't think the manager knows what he's doing. I don't know whether the manager knows a way out of this situation. The players are not working for each other. I think there was a stat on Match of the Day on Saturday saying that we've covered the least ground in the Premier League. 20th for the amount of sprints, 20th for the ground covered.
It's glaring.
It's clear we look unfit. We struggled in pre-season, like really struggled, and you just hope it's a pre-season getting your groove into that groove sort of thing.
You never know how much they're training as well.
But they looked so unfit. I don't think the opposition that we played in pre-season was competitive enough. We was playing sort of German second, third, fourth division teams. That we just looked like we was going out there and losing most of them, which is worrying. And yeah, the players just don't look like they're out there to give any effort, and I think that's quite clear what we see on Friday night. You've got a Brighton team that were all working for each other, that had a game plan, that know what they was doing, they know what they come to the stadium for. They come for a draw, and that's the worrying thing. They came for a draw. They sat every man behind the ball. They know how to break, and within 20 minutes they found themselves 1-0 up. Just before half time they found themselves 2-0 up, and they really had no worries.
Right.
And that worries me, because we looked clueless. We didn't know. We didn't have a game plan. Andy Carroll's our plan A, and it looks like that's it because he played Czech Kyoto, who is he's played centre back for us before. He's a good holding midfielder, and because we didn't have the big man up front, he chucked him up top.
Yeah, that's shocking, isn't it?
That's terrible. Like
Terrible.
That's my level of management. Things aren't going right. Like where I play on a Thursday night. If things aren't going right, you go stick Adam Boltwood up front and hope for the best. He's big, he'll hold it up, hope for the best after that. But you'd assume that somebody like Bilic would have a bit more nous about him than what I would do.
As a tactic, the week before against Burnley, it worked.
It was sort of Jekyll and Hyde over the last 2 weeks because against Burnley, it's the first time I've actually seen us look organised at the back, especially. Conceded a shed load of goals over the last 9 games or whatever it is. But we actually, I looked at it and I thought we've actually, we've got some sort of organisation here. But I think the sending off, we looked all right before the sending off, but I think the sending off, I think it was more the players galvanising themselves rather than galvanising for the manager. They thinking, right, we're really up against it now. We've got to play in a way to protect ourselves. Otherwise, we're going to be on the end of a hiding here. And they played very well. They nearly got away with the 3 points. But you go to your home ground and you're getting thrashed. And I mean, we was completely battered by a Brighton team that had a 34-year-old Glenn Murray up front, and that ain't good. Yeah. When you, it's not just Brighton, and that's no disrespect to Brighton, but when your players can't get out for your home games, when it looks like a season where we're going to be struggling, it doesn't bode well.
I think we've actually on the panel we've got like the different ages of stadium transfers. Like never going to leave Loftus Road probably ever. You moved 2 years ago. You've had to go to Wembley. You're petrified of it, aren't you?
It's the worst possible thing that could happen. It could ruin the club forever. Genuinely believe that.
Well, and do you feel like it has done for West Ham? Because it's the second season into it. I had the feeling that you just needed to get through that first season at the London Stadium.
No, mate, it's
there were
horrible.
so many empty seats as well at the end of that game.
You watch people. I mean, Upton Park. You just go to Upton Park week in, week out. Win, lose. I've seen us beat Chelsea 3-0. I've seen us beat Spurs 4-1. I've seen us lose to Leeds 5-1. One thing there is everyone was behind the team. You know what I mean? Everyone was roaring them on. Everyone was on top of the opposition. I've seen it quiet there as well, but I've also seen it really, you go 2-0 down against Brighton, and to be fair, on paper we're a better team than Brighton. You could quite easily come out the second half and beat them 3-2. You've got people picking up their kids and walking out. You never see that there. Yeah. It's not. I don't think it's the fact that it's not the stadium, but it's the clientele that they've brought into the stadium. They've marketed it in a certain way, and it's not. Look, I've got no bones about people coming to the stadium if they want to enjoy a day out and whatever, but they're not there to support West Ham. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're not there to support the team. We need people to support the team. That's how we've always got through. And
have you noticed that already at Wembley?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Wembley, the sooner we get out of Wembley, the better. I absolutely hate it. It's partly the issue with the kind of people that go into the game. They see it as a day out. It's good. Let's go and watch Spurs versus Real Madrid. We sold out Wembley for the Real Madrid game, 90,000, 89,000, something like that. But they're not all Spurs. There are people that are just, they're interested. I'd be amazed if the majority, vast majority, 80,000 of them are Tottenham. There's people that are, and it's going to be a draw. People want to go and see Real Madrid. They want to see Ronaldo and whatnot. But it does have an impact. The very traditions of which fans watch football is that the home support is there to create an atmosphere and make it intimidating for the away support. It doesn't happen that often anymore, but it makes it even more difficult when you're at Wembley, where it's not all Tottenham in there. You saw yesterday against Liverpool, although it was the record attendance for a league match in the history of football in Britain. The issue was that there were Liverpool fans scattered everywhere, and then there were some other fans who just fancied a day out. It is bollocks. And the sooner we get it over and done with, the better. Yeah. I understand it was the best opportunity for us. We weren't going to ground share of Arsenal. We didn't want to go up to Milton Keynes. Brighton was never really feasible. So where else are you going to do it? It has to be Wembley. So I'm thankful for that, but it's tough.
Yeah. Moving on to then the board, and when you're looking at the manager, it's come out now that they're going to get he's going to get 2 games, Bilic. And last year, I like managers getting a decent amount of time, and last year, as Flav knows, and last year, despite that really difficult start, you stuck with him, and it worked. And I think going into the new season, you were quite hopeful with the signings that you'd made. Those, Arnautovic and Hernandez in particular. Those can go two ways. It can be right that actually they're past it, they're on the way down, or we've got a wicked player here, not for cheap, but wicked player that we weren't expecting to get. But the feeling now that the board are going to get rid if he doesn't change it very dramatically, very quickly.
The board don't want to get rid. They don't want to get rid. Their ideal situation is he guides us through to the end of the season, and this is the issue I have. I can't speak for every West Ham fan, but this is the issue I have. They write off seasons before we start. I know they've invested this money. We was just speaking upstairs. They spent a net of £4 million. That's not a club that wants to move forward. They brought in two very good players. One on a free transfer.
Is that good business, though? Because you've supposedly, Arnautovic is supposed to be a talented player.
Who cares if it's good business or not? He's a football fan.
No, I understand as well. But who cares if you're making more debt than 7 million? No, as long as the squad's improving. That's good business.
The money isn't the problem. I've always said this. It's not the amount of money you have to spend, but it's the amount of positions that need filling. And they never did that. We've got an old defence, and they're signing more old players. They've pissed off both of our #1 goalkeepers by bringing someone in on loan that could end up just leaving at the end of the season anyway. And then that leaves us with no #1 goalkeeper. We was desperate for a centre midfielder, someone to put their foot on the ball, someone to pick up games by the scruff of the neck. We just haven't got that. Like the players that are there, Mark Noble, unfortunately, he's probably one of the only players that are passionate enough to do that, that hasn't got the talent to do that.
I feel like there's a face with Mark. When you say the name Mark Noble, you can't just say Mark Noble. You've got to go, Mark Noble.
Brady, Gold and Sullivan have bled that club dry. It's a travesty what they've done to that club. And I do genuinely think that, like the West Ham that I knew and grew up with, they were a partisan, tribal threat. West Ham now, under the stewardship of Brady and our mates, are a shadow of their former self. And, they watched Avram Grant take that club down. They didn't bother. They didn't do anything. They didn't act when it became apparent that he wasn't the man for the job. And it looks like they're going to do that again. I don't think West Ham will go down, but it wouldn't be surprising if they did. My theory is that this is a waiting game for them. This is the final stages in a long play sort of thing. When they took that club from the depths of, a lot of people still say that they're appreciative of it, which we are. They saved us. We could have been a Pompey or it's always what's in it for them. I feel with them. Though.
Yeah.
Their motivation was never what's best for people like you.
You know what it was, Rory? It was they saw the club. A club that David Gold at least is linked with.
Yeah, you've got to work. Aren't they both supposed to be fans?
They've just seen an Olympic site being built right on the doorstep. Before they even bid for that club, they was on the phone to some MP somewhere. Right, this is my theory. This is speculation. Yeah? Allegedly. They was on the phone to some MP somewhere. What's the chances we can get that? It's pretty good, pretty decent chance. Right, put a bid in for that club. This is it, and this is it. This has all been building to this, right? Now, we've got a deal in that stadium, right? The initial deal in that stadium, sorry, I'm going to go right into depth here. The initial deal in that stadium is that it would have retractable seating that would take a 5-day turnaround, and would cost, I think it was something like £325,000 to convert the stadium from an Olympic stadium into a football stadium. Well, the club the company that invented all that went bust halfway through it, So what they've got now is, although they still will tell you it's retractable, it is retractable, but it costs £8 million to rip it all out and put it back in, Each time, right?
What? So it's never going to happen.
So they've done it for the World Championships recently?
For the World Championships, it's cost them £8 million. We pay 2 a year, 2. So that, for the taxpayer, is not going to be viable, right? And the Sullivans and Golds and Bradys know that. So eventually, if someone else comes into power, or if you know, they're still bidding for championships, of course. They're going to turn around and go, do you know what? We don't want nothing to do with this anymore. This is costing us more money than we're making. Take that and do what you need to do. And they know that. They know it. All of a sudden, they got a football club on the cheap for 25 million plus the debt, or 100 million plus the debt, which is 100 million, which they promised us would be clear by the time they moved there. They shifted it to themselves. They're paying themselves interest now. That's fact. That is fact. Yeah.
Out of the club.
So out of the club. Yeah, out of the club. They're taking money out of the club on interest that they owe themselves. Right. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to find themselves with land that's worth £1 billion given to them for free.
Outrage. It's an
Why don't the government just say, "Oh, sorry, West Ham, this ain't working out. Get out. Let's just mow that stadium down and just build some houses up, affordable housing. Bring it back in for the people."
Because they wouldn't allow it.
I mean, that is fascinating, and it's deeply. I mean, you can then understand why all of this stuff filters down to the players, to the fans, and everyone else at the football club. I think now really will be a test of their mettle and how much ambition they do have. The easiest thing for them to do, probably the most profitable thing, is just to leave Bilic in that in the job and hope they can keep him up. Gambling with the fact that they won't go down. I don't think they will. I think Bilic has enough about him, and there's enough decent players at West Ham to keep him up. But what they should do is they should pay Bilic off, and they should pay the compensation of whatever manager they want to bring in. Bring back Sam Allardyce.
But it's one of those things where they owe something. They owe us something. The majority of the West Ham fans now want the manager out. They find him tactically inept.
Well, I've got to ask you, do you want him out?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
No.
And that's not against the man himself. He's a very passionate manager. He done very well with us in the first season. But it's quite apparent that he doesn't really know what he's doing. Yeah, he doesn't train the team hard enough. I think he's a little bit of a pushover. This is, again, my opinion, allegedly. He's a bit of a pushover. He's got people in the back room who doesn't look like they know how to train teams. I had a rumour the other day that Julian Dix is now our strikers coach when we're suffering.
That'd be odd.
Yeah, at the back, terribly. Who knows? Yeah. But it does not look like he knows. What we need is a fresh idea, a fresh mind in there, a fresh backroom staff who's going to galvanise everyone and say, right, you might have been used to it this way, but we're going to do it this way. And Payet was right to leave. And that's the sound, but he was right to leave because at the time he was Europe's hottest property. He dragged us through that season. When we didn't have him that season, that he was so good, we was average at best. Yeah, he dragged us through that season, and the next season we're going into a game against Hull. We won 1-0, and the post got named man of the match because they had to post 4 times. And everyone's laughing about it as they're walking into the manager included. And he said, "You know what? That's it."
Yeah.
And he was right to leave. He went about it the wrong way, but
I know where Bilic could end up. There's another job going.
Everton job.
Go on,
Everton, man.
See what we can do.
Right, Nicky, thank you very much. If you are a West Ham fan or if you just like football, go and subscribe to West Ham Fan TV and CFC Fan TV and Ball Street. Was Payet right to leave? That is a good question.
Am I invisible, man?
We know. All right, if Flav's got a podcast.
Fighting Cock.
Yeah, check that out.
Download it.
Yeah. Well, great touch for a big lad. If you're doing loads of things.
You've got it as well, haven't you?
You're king of the road if we do a podcast. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Not yet, mate.
Coming soon. Keep an eye out for that. Huh? Yeah. Like this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to Ball Street, and we will see you very soon.